All right, let's talk about building your course. A lot of people in here want to build a course, and the reason that we're framing it in this context is, well, one, because that's what we're best at, but also courses are really popular right now, and we talked about this yesterday, information versus insight, information being a commodity, insight being the really valuable gem nowadays. And good courses can help distill some of that knowledge and turn it into insight. They're selling well, there's a lot of them, they work, but something to keep in mind when we're talking about courses is that courses are products, and products are built on a lot of the same foundational building blocks. So I'll make references to courses here, but I'll also kind of tie in how different types of things can be represented by the same concepts we use to develop our courses. So we'll talk about the tech of the course in terms of how we build it and what tools we use, and we'll talk about pricing. Let's talk about developing the content, which is important. One quick thing to note is that, again, I kind of view the course building similar to how I view building the website and that type of stuff. There are better courses out there, like Start from the Bottom and then Start from the Bottom Live, this being an event. There are better resources out there on like going into the exact WordPress template, the exact website tools that you need to build the course in terms of like design and layout. My mission for this was to give you a really good overview of how business works, our philosophy behind getting people to buy our stuff, and then giving you the freedom to do your own work, because we know that everyone in here is ambitious enough to figure out how to mess with WordPress. Like this is not rocket science. So I'm gonna go into our course too and show you some of the interesting things that we have going on, but I'm not going to build the course right here because, again, like I think that sometimes we get lost in the details and we start getting anxiety around how we're gonna do specific things without doing the big picture things first. So we're gonna talk about everything from big picture to detail, but keep in mind that this is an overview designed to help you guide yourself. It's a framework rather than a recipe. So these are the ways that I like to think about courses and really digital products in general. I mean, courses are kind of one type of digital product, but there are lots of different types of digital products. So the first being Tripwire. Why do we call it Tripwire? Well, Tripwires are designed not necessarily to make a lot of money. They're designed to be self-liquidating offers. So for anyone who doesn't know what a self-liquidating offer is, it's essentially a low price offer that just gets people in the door. So that's actually pretty similar to what we were talking about last night with Ty Lopez's 67 Steps. It's $67. It's actually, I think, $67 a month, which also kind of falls into subscription. But what he does is he'll get you to opt into his list, and he'll have a thank you page which hits, and as soon as the thank you page hits, he'll ask you to join his 67 Steps program. And what ends up happening is people come from Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and they join his list, and when the first thing they see is an offer for a relatively inexpensive product, it's easy for them to make a decision that's not too drastic. And so a certain amount of people will convert at that. The thank you page itself becomes a sales page. And when you run stats and you see that 10% of people convert to your $67 product, then you can start to know how much money you can spend on ads to start reinvesting into it. And eventually it becomes a loss leader. You're not really making any money, but you're using it to further grow your audience, because as you get more people to sign up to the Tripwire or buy the Tripwire, you make more money, and as you make more money, you pour it back into paid advertisements to continue to funnel people through your machine. So Tripwires are generally used for that purpose, but they can also be used as psychological tools just to transition people from browser to customer, right? And there's a certain amount of intrinsic value in a customer list as opposed to just an email list. When people have to physically take out their credit card to pay you for things, it creates a psychological effect in a small relationship, and I guess that relationship increases depending on how much they spend with you. But you'll find that as you grow your audience and you grow your list, you'll start to have natural segmentation. Some of those will just be readers, and they'll be casual readers. Others will be people who are really invested in your stuff. And even further still will be customers, people who've paid their money to get your best stuff. And typically, your your best customers are customers, right? Think about it. Your best customers are people who've already bought from you once. They're going to buy from you again. They're going to buy from you anytime you put something out. And if you can grow your customer list, you're going to see that you have a much higher conversion rate when you sell something to them than any other group. And so it's useful to have a tripwire or a small product that will allow you to get people that lower barrier to entry so that they can, at least in their own minds, think, I bought from this person, it's safe. I bought an ebook, nothing happened, he didn't hack my identity, I didn't, nothing bad happened, now it's time for me to buy the next thing. So tripwires are valuable not only because they can liquidate themselves in terms of making money that you pour back into ads, but also that they create that relationship. And I'd argue to say that like a tripwire could be anywhere from $1 to right under $100. But there's different ways to go about it. Another way with tripwires that you can do, this is kind of like a cross between a tripwire and subscription, is you can do like a $1 trial to get people through the door, and then it bills them at a different rate later. Entry-level products and bread and butter products. By the way, I stole these names from Frank Kern, but I mean they're just different. They're just different tiers of products. At every level, you're gonna have people who are willing to kind of move up the chain of value. If you guys want to see a really good company who's doing this in the digital space, like in terms of digital marketing, well, it's called Digital Marketer, digitalmarketer.com. Check it out. They have, the guy who runs that is Ryan Dice, and he has a few other friends. And they have masterfully crafted their funnels to the point where they have the tripwire or the initial offer, then they have like entry-level stuff, then they bump you up to a flagship, then they try to get you in their community with the recurring membership service. And they have all these different levels. And what you'll find is that, generally speaking, it's good to have, after you've kind of expanded past your first product, it's good to have a fair amount of variety, because people come in at different price points with different abilities to pay, especially depending on who your market is. So what we found is that flagship products in the beginning can pretty much carry you. This is exactly what Will was saying last night. He's like, we have one product, and we've just kept selling it over and over and over again, and we rock it till the wheels fall off. But that doesn't mean that it's the only way to go. And I tend to also think, and this is just my opinion, but I tend to also think that while you certainly can sell like $2,000, $3,000 digital courses that are worth the money and get good reviews and customers, I think that sometimes there's value in having things that are priced well enough where more people can afford them, because if you're trying to spread the message, if that's the whole point, if there's also an important message behind just you making money, then you should make your products accessible to people who can afford it. And sometimes a $2,000 product, while it's great for you, isn't always great for the client. So those are kind of my thoughts on that. But you can have one product and not even have all these other ones, and it can carry the business. Also, there's no correct model. There's certainly the Walmart model, which is to have a bunch of cheap things and sell a lot of them. And then there's the Louis Vuitton model, which is like we have a few really expensive products and we sell them to select clients. Those both work. There's no method that's better. Both Nike and Nike and Rolls-Royce are both billion-dollar companies, but one has much more expensive products, and one sells much higher volume. So it's really just depending on your market. I will say this though, the type of product that you make, hey Mark, type of product that you make depends a lot on the market that you're already speaking to, or the way you price your product. So for instance, things if you want to think about digital products, what are the core markets that are always working? Sex, love and relationships, health and fitness, entrepreneurship, making money. What are some other ones? Those three are always going to be good to go. Those are like the core three, right? Sex, and relationships, sex, love and relationships, making money, fitness. And like fitness and health go together in like anything from like gym type of fitness to nutrition, or like acute issues like stomach problems. Like there's a wide range. I have a friend who has a product called Sitting Solution, which is just a product on how to heal a back that's been worn out by many years of sitting down. So it's a health product, but it's not the same thing as like P90X or whatever. It's different. So I found that like in each market there are some standards that you'll see. Typically speaking, products about making money are easier to price at a higher point because you can justify why that money is going to get made back. So you'll see a lot more people in the making money space or in the business space selling their courses for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 plus, because you can say, well, you're going to make your ROI for sure because this is the method, this, and this. Not that you can't do that with other product categories, but it's harder to justify spending $2,000 on a product about like getting a six pack, because it's not a $2,000 secret. It's really just go to the fucking gym and here's some exercises. You know, great marketers could probably craft something that will be worth that amount of money, you know, for a fitness routine, but it's not a personal trainer, so it gets harder. Same thing with love and relationships. That's always going to be a big one, especially for guys. Picking up girls is huge. And in that case, you can probably tie some emotional pain to like not having a girlfriend and being a loser, and you probably can charge more. There's not that much for girls though. I don't really think there's a lot of products for girls getting guys. There probably are some. There's one guy. His name is Mark something. I'll find him. But yeah, there are a few for girls who want to get guys, or girls who want to get girls, or guys who want to get guys. I don't know. But typically, it's easiest to charge for things where you can show the direct correlation on ROI. But these are different product categories to think about. One thing that I'd like to draw your attention to, which this is a recent development, and I thought that you should start thinking about for your own business, is how you can make things recurring. This is the new model, okay? Because really, when it comes down to it, a healthy business needs a few different product categories. You're going to need to have your higher price stuff. Whatever higher price is for you, maybe higher price for you is like $200. But you're going to need your higher price stuff, you're going to need your entry level stuff, and you should have some sort of recurring business model. You can do that with physical products, like Jordan sending out boxes of different tea and other like hemp, like food and different things. You can do that with fitness by sending out, you know, weekly or monthly meal plans. You can do that with, you can do that with food even. They have food and meal delivery services now. Or you can do that with membership communities that has information that's always being given out. But you want to think about how you can make this thing recurring. Because one problem that we ran into with our business is that we depended so much on freelance domination that if we didn't focus on that all the time, we didn't make any money. And we have payment plans for it. So in a sense, you can create a little bit of recurring income. So for instance, with a let's say you have a $1,000 program and you break it up into 4 payments of $250. Well, for 4 months, then you're going to have recurring income. But then that client has paid off the entire price of the course, and then that recurring income now goes to zero. So you have to constantly be feeding clients through the funnel, and it becomes a pretty big revenue headache. And with the recurring or subscription model, it's ongoing until they quit, which means that you constantly have to be updating your content as well. You have to be giving out new stuff all the time. And really, with the subscription model, the benefit is that you're going to be, you know, able to know predictably how much money you're going to make each month to a certain degree of, to a relative degree of certainty. The downside is when you sell someone on a recurring membership program, the sell is just the very beginning. You have to justify why they're going to stay in that program every single day, every single week, every single month, especially if it's a relatively noticeable commitment. I would say anywhere between $50 and $100 people notice. If it's Netflix and $7 or $10, no one notices, and the risk of leaving Netflix is greater than the risk of like canceling it. But because they might have your show, right? But generally speaking, with membership programs, you have to work even harder because every single time that credit gets taken out of that person's account, they're like, did I use this month? Do I need this month? Am I going to need it next month? So there's lots of things to consider there. Another thing we're thinking about too, with the recurring model, and really with payment plans in general, anything where you're breaking up payments, is it's not guaranteed even if people have committed to pay. Here's something interesting that we learned from Freelance Domination with our payment plans. So, you know, FLD is $1,200 for the standard level. All right. So we've tried lots of different payment plans. We've tried $397 times 4, we tried $397 times 3, we tried $497 times 3, we've tried $97 times 12, we've tried breaking it up at 2 payments, we've tried every variation. Here's something interesting that you guys wouldn't expect. What do you think the average customer value is of someone who buys Freelance Domination for $497 times 3? Colin, what do you think it is? I told you in the car, Manish. What do you think the average customer value is of someone who pays $497 times 3? Just guess. Guess. What do you think it is? Like the number.
The price?
Yeah. What do you think the average customer? Okay. So let me be more clear. How many do you think people who who buy freelance domination for $497 times 3 complete all the payments?
Yes.
Right. Well, in most cases they do. The average customer value of a $497 times 3 customer is like somewhere around $1,300, meaning that of 3 payments they make like 2.8 payments on average, meaning that across the board, people who buy at that specific incremental payment plan generally have enough money to continue paying. That means that maybe 1 out of every 50 or 60 people, one person misses the last payment. And the reason for that would be their credit card bounced, they change their bank account, information changes, debit cards change, and sometimes we don't get that last payment. So we don't get all the money that we were expecting to get. So a $1,500 sale then isn't really $1,500, it's about $1,300 on average. Now, that's pretty good, so we can look at that predictably and know that we're gonna get about $1,300 on average when people buy at that rate. But 12 times $97, what do you think the average customer value of that client is?
Only like maybe 300 or 600.
Yeah, it's $450. They make an average of 3.5 payments after their initial 1 payment, which means that basically they buy the course and then they'll make 3 to 4 more payments max, and then their credit card will just bounce forever after that. Anybody have any ideas why this is?
If you're paying a higher price, you're more likely to follow through with everything.
Exactly. You have the money to pay in the first place. Yeah. If you pay, this is our theory. I think it's true. It's our theory. My theory is that like if you have enough money to pay $497 once, you can pay it 3 times. But if you only have $97 and you have to pick that option, that could be your last $97 this month, and that $97 is going to be hard to come by next month too. So when going into this, I thought, oh, 97 times 12 is going to be great. We're going to get all this money. It's going to be worth $1,200, and we're just going to bring tons of people in. But what we realized was a 97 times 12 sale is really a $450 sale. It's really $450. So now that affects how we sell, when we sell, who we sell to, because if we're running Facebook ads to a webinar and it costs us, total by getting all the registrants and all the setup stuff, it costs us sometimes, $3,000 or $4,000 to set up a webinar. Well, we have to make at least 10 sales on the webinar for it just to break even. That's not even profitable. And breaking even will take 3.5 months for that one webinar because they're going to get 3.5 payments after that. So there's all these considerations to go into. But there's pluses and minuses to all of these models. So just start thinking about where your customer is, where they fall, and then as you start trying out different payment models, start just testing the stats. Start seeing what people actually do versus what they say they do. I don't think when anybody signs up to a program for 12 times 97, they say, I'm definitely not going to make any more than 3.5 payments. No one says that. People just generally think, yeah, I'll get it. Like I'll make it happen. I know I've done that before, where I've paid for something like 1 or 2 times, and then like the money didn't have any more. And I never anticipated that. It just kind of just happened. So one way you can do this in terms of shopping cart and checking this stuff out is a shopping cart called Samcart. So we use Samcart in our business right now. I think we're going to switch, and it's not something that I'd say you have to do right now. I think you can start with Samcart. There are a few inherent problems, and we can go over those in just a bit. But Samcart does have the ability to check in a very simple, easy to use interface the average customer value and what your monthly recurring revenue is. So it's a pretty simple software for beginners and intermediates, and so it's worth your time. So yeah, those are the pricing options. Oh, another thing that I guess there's another bullet here. This is what Will was doing, live interaction. If you don't have a product yet, especially if it's a course, this is very applicable to a course or any type of educational scenario. You can just schedule live webinars, and then you say someone signs up, and you say, great, you pay me the money, and we're starting in a week. We start on this day, and the class sessions will be on this day, and this day, and it's going to go for 4 to 6 weeks. And if you miss the class, no worries. I'm going to record it, and I'll send it to you. And that way, you can make the course as you go along, teach it as you go along, and also then the recording that you have, you can take those recordings and you can just turn them into the actual course. So,
Daniel,
yeah.
About this pricing thing. What's your experience, or what do you think about putting a flagship course, selling it for $900, and let's say that you didn't have the success, and then you got like 100 people signing in, or 10, but then you say, okay, it's too expensive, I'm gonna take it down. So my next presentation, I'm gonna try to sell it for less.
Mm-hmm.
So do you thing that kind of deceits the people that paid first a higher amount?
Good question.
How you will handle that? Because I guess a lot of people is going to tell you, hey man, I paid 900 and now you're charging 500. What's going on?
Oh, I've done that before. Yeah, I've done that before. I haven't had one person ever say anything to me. This is also where like the cold hard business side comes into it. It's my prerogative. I choose how much the course costs. I'm going to do my best to segment out people so that they don't get duplicate emails or separate offers. But if they don't like it, sorry, like this is what we're doing. I'm testing to find the best conversion for my customers. And I only charge as much as I think it's worth. I think it's worth $2,000. And so if you pay $2,000, you got $2,000 worth of value. And if I lower the price to test to see if I get more sales at $1,000 than I do at $2,000, that's my prerogative. And it's your prerogative as a business owner. You definitely have to be considerate of your customers, and you have to be kind to them. You have to make sure that you're not intentionally like throwing a special in their face. When this happened with you, Adela. Remember when we sent out a reminder, and there was like it was like a discount, but then you weren't originally in the first segment. Something happened.
Yeah.
And then what was my response? I forgot what it was.
About the.
Wasn't it?
I think I subscribed to different emails.
Yeah.
And that was a confusion.
That happens. Yeah. So someone will have two different emails,
Yeah.
and they'll subscribe with two different emails, and then if there's a slightly different offer from one email to the next, people will notice sometimes. But you're here.
Yeah, of course.
There you go. So that's the answer to that question. If you're kind and you're good to your customers and you're just honest with them, you should be fine. There will be people who will complain though, but a small percentage. And you have to do this testing in order to figure out where your sweet spot is. So it's kind of a necessary part of the game.
Yeah, and you can just over deliver either way. If they complain, it's like, all right, well, I'll throw in something extra for you.
Yeah.
Because
And we do that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll either throw in something extra, we'll give a discount on the next event, we will give a small discount, whatever we can do. So when we're thinking about our courses and what type of course we want to make, it's important that we're using the pain points to outline. And we spent a lot of time talking about pain points yesterday. And kind of digging even deeper into this, doing the research to make sure that we know what customers are thinking before we put our marketing materials out is probably the number one reason why we're able to be on the pulse of what people need and want. And it's really important because this information, a lot of times we spin our wheels trying to think about what to say to people, how to say it to them, and what our core ideas are, but the information's already out there, right? So all we have to do is know where to find it. Or all we have to know is where to find it. And when we're talking about pain points, I like to break it down and be pretty simple. When we were talking about features versus benefits, a few minutes ago, that's a good example of demonstrating like the tangible effect of something versus like the emotional effect of something. A feature is this book has 100 pages. A benefit is this book will teach you to read better, right? Or this book will teach you to write better, whatever the benefit is of the book. And we've seen this stuff from the earliest memories as children. We know that core emotional pain points, they excite us, they incite us, they allow us to kind of connect with our real needs. And we've been trained to respond to these things since we've been kids, since we were children. Think about Dr. Seuss. Think about how each one of his books had a core metaphor and a core idea. Anyone remember the Sneetches? Like I think it was called the Sneetches. It was like these big yellow with the stars on their bellies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone remember what that story was about?
It's about being judgmental.
It's about being judgmental, and it's like also about racism a little bit, because the whole idea was like there were they're almost like these the big yellow birds, and you know what I'm talking about? Oh, you guys are having a private joke back there. You guys need to take it outside.
There was like stars and
So-
there were some
yeah.
people that didn't have a
Yeah, exactly. Some of them didn't have stars on their stomachs. Yeah, and people and the ones who didn't have stars felt left out. They felt weird. And that's really just a message about like racism and segregation, and also then just like treating people nice and recognizing differences. So all those are core messages, and those are the things that we continue to relate to, through our adult years. So we need to start thinking a little bit more contextually about what it is that affects people and injecting that into our copy. It's not really about your product, it's about what's going to happen in the person's life and about what they've been feeling up to this point. When someone buys your product, think about it like this. When someone buys your product, they're at a breaking point. They're at a point where whatever it is that your thing does, they can no longer solve by themselves. They can no longer handle it. They've tried in the past, and now they need help. So they're making a decision to get help from you, and you have to know what point they're at in order to make that connection. And everyone has different demons, but everyone that buys a product from you, especially an educational course, has been trying to deal with those demons for a long time, and your job is to get them to the point where they can feel comfortable enough from you to solve the problem with your help. I'm gonna make fun of Alicia here. She spelled losing weight wrong, losing weight, but you can, but this is a great way to figure out the exact words the customers want, right? So you go to Quora and you say losing weight, and then they have all these different little search results for, can yoga do something for losing weight? How can we lose? How we can lose weight? How we can lose weight by only running? Why do I lose weight in my sleep? Yeah, it's fine. But these are your pain points right here, right? And these are the things that the products get built around. And also, these are the content ideas that you write to bring people to the products. Also, Amazon reviews talked about this yesterday. This is Manish's favorite thing to talk about. If you look here, yeah, this is losing weight too. I don't know what product this was taken from. There's not much new here. Everyone knows that to lose weight, you just need to eat less and exercise more. And yet we're still all looking for that quick fix, that miracle cure. Even though I didn't learn anything new, I did like this booklet. It's short and sweet. I was able to quickly read through and highlight all the things that I need to do, like cutting out sugar, eating only natural foods, and drinking more water. You know, the one thing that was especially helpful was the link to the online calculators to calculate your total energy expenditure. So they go into talking about exactly what they liked and didn't like, and we can build our products using this information. Short and sweet. And we can learn a lot about what we need to put in our courses just by figuring out what other people are doing in theirs and improving upon that and adding to it. So this is what I think of when I think of kind of the layout for the digital course. In the beginning of the course, a couple pretty important things. Because remember, this is an entire experience. So think about it like this. People come into your course, and if you're framing it as a course, they're expected to be taken through a logical process from beginning to end, where they're going to be introduced to the material, learn step by step, and then have that material wrapped up in a nice little bow. And in order to do that, you have to create the right atmosphere from the very beginning. And I'll show you FLD if you guys haven't seen it. I'll show you guys that in just a second to show you how we do it. But typically it starts with a welcome module, which is just a welcome video or lesson. It doesn't have to be your face. It can be just screens or screen flow or slides. But you want to have something that welcomes them. You want to have a really, really clear outline of what they're going to learn and the timeline for when they're going to learn it. And you want to set expectations. The number one reason why customers are dissatisfied, if they're dissatisfied, the number one reason is, well, just because usually the expectations weren't set correctly. You need to set things that typically tend to under-promise and over-deliver. Now, here's the hard part. We all have to market, right? And a lot of marketing kind of revolves around over-promising. But my thought on this is take a step back and just work with radical honesty for a minute. Build a course that does create a great result, but don't hype it to the point that you can't deliver that result. Because then people start to get weirded out when they feel like everyone in your testimonials is achieving great things that they can't achieve. So that's why when we make testimonials and case studies, I like to have a wide variety of people. There's one student who's taken everything that I've ever done, and he is absolutely crushing it. Jesus. His name is Steve Aiken. Steve, you know Steve. He's made like a few $100,000 with freelance domination. He used AFF, which is the funnel formula, and he just made like $24,000 2 weeks ago. And he just keeps calling me and texting. He's a private client of mine now. So it just keeps working. And I said, Steve, I have to stop using you as a case study because it's getting to the point where it's unbelievable. It's too much, and the expectations are too high. I have to have people who are like, I made my first $200, last month, because you got to start with where they're at, not where you're at. It's too much to hype up the 1% of people who are the absolute X-Men, who are the absolute superheroes, when everyone else needs to start from the very beginning. So when you're setting expectations, it's important to remember to have a wide range. And also to remember and appreciate that small wins for you are big wins for someone else. Getting a $5 sale, and seeing that PayPal notification in your inbox, it's more about the fact that you were sleeping and you woke up and you had a PayPal notification. Less about the money, more about the fact that I wasn't doing anything and I made money. That was cool, you know? So that's the type of stuff that you hype up. It's less about the amount and more about the value. So just remember that, you know, put yourself in perspective, or put things in perspective, and focus on the things that will make the widest amount of people feel the most comfortable. Also, you know, this is really important. You want to make sure that you reinforce your credentials before going into the material. Some people who are buying from you for the first time, who don't know you that well, need to remember that you know what you're talking about. One thing I'll add to this, which I don't think is in the slides, but I think is really important, is throughout the duration of the course, I think it's a really good idea to continue to reinforce the value of the course. So for instance, as you go through you know, the week to week, and I'll actually log into Freelance Domination real quick so you guys can see, right? So this is FLD. My color is a little off. So this is Freelance Domination, and the way that this works is it's unlocked on a week-to-week basis. We do that with flagship courses for a few reasons. One, because we want to truly create the course effect, but two, because we want to reduce refund rate. And a lot of times when people run through a course right away, they'll just take the info and peace out. So we have a 60-day refund policy, and the material is released in less than 60 days, but we want to give people time to digest things rather than just dumping everything on them at once, because when you dump everything on someone at once, especially when it's a complex situation like building a freelance business, it's easy to get overwhelmed. So we take things step by step, and it just feels a little bit more valuable. I do know some people want to get it dumped on them right away and they want access to everything, but I think this is the best way to go. I'm going to play my welcome video, and hopefully my welcome video underlines all the things I just said. This is a relatively new video.
I'm so happy to have you here. I'm pumped. I should be more excited. I should be like really, really intense and energetic, but I really am excited to have you here. First of all, I want to congratulate you, because the reality is most people don't take the leap that you just made.
Okay, so what am I doing? First of all, I'm reinforcing the value of the course. I want to congratulate you. Thank you for being here. Most people don't do what you've done. I'm pumping you up, making you feel good, reminding you why you joined. God, that's a fresh cut, man. It looks even way better on here. Crispy as well, yeah.
They stay up late at night and think about how amazing it would be to have the freedom to start a business that they control and make money on the side, or even leave their job, but they don't actually do anything about it. And the reality is, you took that step and you said, you know what? I want something different for myself. So,
Inspirational, aspirational. By the way, it's pretty applicable to, you know, the digital course space, but it's also applicable to pretty much everything else that we do. Inspirational, aspirational.
congratulations and thank you for being here. Over the next 6 weeks, what I'm going to show you through the course is exactly how to take an idea that you have in your head and turn it into something that you can provide other people and get paid for.
Setting
That's
expectations.
the whole joy of building something that actually matters, right? And that's the reality of how the world is working now. If you look at where our economy is, not just in the United States, but globally, you're going to see that more and more people are becoming self-employed. And the reason for that is because when you become self-employed, when you take back ownership of your time and your money, you can grow much bigger than you ever would have by working for someone else. So I'm happy to teach you these tools. You'll see down below that we have lots of different lessons laid out for you. And they release sequentially. So every single week, you'll get a new lesson, and I'll get an email, or you'll get an email from me with exactly what you're going to learn that week.
So they know why they're not getting everything all at once.
Okay, but I want to encourage you not just to watch the video lessons, think about it, and kind of like put it off until later. Really dive in. We have an amazing community on Facebook that I want you to get involved in. If you haven't already said hi, please go and introduce yourself. The link should be somewhere on this page. We also have a lot of extra bonus resources, and in addition to that, we're always doing monthly kind of office hours with me. So make sure that you're on the right track and give you customized help if you need it. I'm super confident that this program will work, not only because it's worked for me and this is what I use, but also because it's worked for hundreds of other students. You know you can always get in contact with me. Dan Love is myself if you need me. I can't wait to hear your success story. You're going to be my next case study. You're going to be my next success story. I can't wait to put you on my sales page and show your smiling page with all the money that you just made. So I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome to the course, and I'll see you inside.
Right, so that was a pretty basic intro, but it kind of covers the flow, what's gonna happen, it keeps you pumped, reminds you why you're here. this stuff might feel corny to you, and sometimes it feels corny to me too, but it's important. And again, there's that expert bias there where you're like, oh, it's just, I don't need to be too elaborate with it. Let's just get them into the material. No, you need to take your time and you need to lay out for people why they're doing what they're doing, remind them about what benefits they're gonna get. I mean, do you see how I was talking about like the way the economy is right now? This is why that freelancing is important. Over the 6 weeks, you're gonna get this, this, and that. Check your email from me. Make sure you're joining the Facebook group. Like I'm making sure that I'm covering all the bases so that they know what to do and they don't have any questions. Okay, so this course, Freelance Domination is built in a software. Well, it's built in WordPress, and it's built in with a software called Optimize Press. And we like Optimize Press for our flagship courses because it gives us the maximum amount of flexibility to drag and drop things and make things look sexy. It's actually really inexpensive too. It's like $97 one time, or like $197 one time. And if you look here, I'll go over here. If you look here, I personally like the way that this course looks, and we haven't had anybody professional work on this. I just did this myself, honestly, like 2 years ago. And then when you click on the lessons here, like if you click on week 1 here, click on this, and you can see each one of these elements here is basically just a block that you move around. So actually I can show you here how this looks. I can edit the page here. I'll have to go to probably the block editor. Let me go to the live editor. So you can see here, this is the back end of Optimize Press. In Optimize Press, this is just a WordPress theme. You guys know what themes are in WordPress? Just a theme, okay? And basically every single element is customizable. So you can see here, I can change, well, this is just a raw option, but I can change what goes in the video right here. If I want to change what's in this box, I can change it here. I can create new elements. If I want to create like a whole new area down below, I can create a new row down here, and I can structure how it looks. This is all this is not, I mean, if you can see, this is designed for non-coders. It's designed just for you to pick what you want. And then you pick what you want right there, and then you just put the elements in that you want. And we built it up over a period of months, but it's pretty basic. A few of the things worth noting here in terms of what's actually in the course or what's actually on the page. A few cool little elements that we added that added some nice little flair to it. Let me go back to this here. So we did a couple of cool little things on each page, and some of them are just because I like the way they look, some of them are psychological. So one is I put a course progress bar at the top. This is not something that's dynamic. I set this. So, there's 6 weeks, and I just kind of divided it up, and I said, you're 15% done. I just did that because research has shown that when you have information that shows how far someone is in the process, it encourages them to follow through with the process and keep going. If you guys have ever seen the lead pages where they say you're almost done and they have a little progress bar, that encourages you to I'm 50% done, I gotta finish this, So this encourages you to keep going. This is a video here. This video was made using QuickTime. So anyone here have a Mac? Everyone have a Mac? A lot of people have a Mac. Basically all I did was go into QuickTime and I just clicked record screen. And then I went in Keynote, just like I'm presenting with you right now, this exact Keynote, and I just plugged in my white Microsoft or Apple headphones or whatever they are, the Apple headphones, and I just talked as I read my screen flow out. There's not even any face-to-camera video in this. You guys know because you're in FLD. This is stock music from GarageBand.
All right, guys, welcome back. So this is week 1.
Me too, I really like it. It's my favorite song. By the way, if you guys are wondering, with the design on this template or on this course, it looks pretty slick. This actually doesn't look that good on the TV because it's a little bit distorted on the TV since it's bigger. But all of these little designs and graphics and stuff, this is a template that I got from Theme Forest, which is just a place where you can download a bunch of different templates. So if we go to it's a Theme Forest, or it's Graphic River. It's Graphic River. So if you go to graphicriver.net, they have all these templates here, and you can just download all. So like for instance, if I go to, if I want to go to Keynote templates, and these are all Keynote templates. And then you can, like, let's say you want to make a course and you want to make it look sexy as fuck. You just find the Keynote that you want, and then you look at all the different things that, I mean, you can see all the different slides that they have, and these are all templated. So you basically put your own pictures and your own words in there, and then you just make it look sexy. So it's definitely worth your time, because this is like, you know, what is it, $15?
Yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous. This is really cool. The only downside with this is I spend so much time looking at these different templates because they're all so cool. You know, but like, they have all these different slide patterns, and I mean, there's just, I mean, but this looks professional. This is professional. These are professional designers who've already done the work for you. They have all the fonts picked out. They have all the colors, all the layout. Your branding is done. Put your logo on the top, put your content in, get some pictures of your face, done, okay? Get some stock music from iMovie, record it with QuickTime. This whole process will take you a few hours and cost you less than $30, you know? And then, you know, with Optimized Press, you pay for that, you're done, boom. So I embedded the video in there. You can use YouTube or Wistia or Vimeo, whichever you prefer. We have training modules. One thing I have here, and I'm just gonna go through the week 1 because I think it has a lot of really valuable insights. We also have a survey, and this is an intake survey, which allows us to get good customer info and intel. This is run through a service called Typeform. So Typeform is really cool because you can embed it in different websites, and this is also free. So you can go to typeform.com and you can create free surveys, and this is really cool. And they can do this inside of the course. I also have free downloads and PDFs, or obviously they're free, they're inside the course, but downloads and PDFs, which kind of bolster the content. I have a pre-recorded webinar. I have a couple of little bonus videos that I already recorded and just placed them in here. And I also embedded Facebook comments just to get a little bit of a conversation going. And I don't actually respond to these too much because it's like I already responded to so much. But it keeps the community going, and it shows that there are people actually using the course. And then if you look at week 2, I think this is a pretty good week 2 to look at. And again, all this is done with one theme, a few tools, most of which are free or very inexpensive, and just time. So let me see here. Yeah, pretty much the same stuff. So yeah. Now let me go back to the slides. You know AJ? Oh, look at Rob. Look at that guy in the bottom right. See? Young man.
Oh, damn.
Classic. Anyway. I mean, is this not a testament to like do good work and then people will just keep being friends and buying stuff and being around forever? It just hasn't. He's still here. He's still here. It's like he's still here. Like that was 3 years ago. Why are you still here? So, yeah. So we use Optimized Press and ClickFunnels, and we're gonna eat lunch very soon. We only have one more slide, but I wanted to show you this too as well. So this is front page formula. As you can see, it's much more scaled down than, you know, as compared to Freelance Domination and Optimized Press. And actually, ClickFunnels, although it does integrate with WordPress, it's its own independent software, right? Like it plays with WordPress, but this is hosted on ClickFunnels' own software stuff, and it's very simple. You can just build it all inside of ClickFunnels as well. It's pretty self-explanatory once you get in there, but essentially, there's nothing special about ClickFunnels except that it just allows you to organize your content in a way that looks more attractive. So you can see here, like each one of these is a module, and you click on it and you get a new video. And these are for our courses that are a little bit less expensive, so like $200-300. And it's just easy because we can quickly iterate this stuff without having to mess with Optimized Press. Because Optimized Press requires you to integrate it with WordPress and you're gonna move blocks around. And it's definitely better for making an overall effect that looks nicer, but this is quick. We did this in a weekend, so. And there's nothing wrong with having a course that looks like this either. It's a great course. So that's ClickFunnels. So those are two options for building your courses.